Hey, this is Cheech.
And this is Chong.
And you're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
What is it?
Lifestyle Radio. Say it one more time.
420 radio?
Ooh.
Please hang up and try again.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
So what are you doing? Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not
This is the
necessarily
first time I got
reflect
sick.
the
Turn this
views of
up.
their associated organization.
I can hear you better now,
All
Al.
right.
Hey everybody, are you ready to go? By the way, we're going live from 420radio.ca. If you want to listen to it live, you don't have to watch it live. You can do whatever makes you happy. But today we've got me. Are we live, Al?
We are, and just so everybody knows, you can catch us right now on Spotify, on Spreaker, and on there's other places, but I can't remember.
What do you mean? It's live on Spotify, or it'll be up on Spotify after?
Actually, I think they do it live on Spotify. I'm not sure.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because somebody said that they were listening to the show on Spotify while we were doing it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I
I
don't
know,
know.
but in your chair you look so short.
Yeah, no.
I didn't know that. Okay, hey everybody, welcome to this. What are we? Welcome to the Higher Estate, where we talk about all things related to health and wellness and cannabis. We're here to bridge the gap between medicine and the lifestyle world. Today, I apologize. We were supposed to have Unity from BC. She came in and unfortunately was unable to be here because, I don't know, screwed up her times maybe, trying to get between here and going to visit a licensed producer in Leamington, Ontario, which I still think is an hour drive.
So it's in Alstyre, and it's 2 hours away.
Alstyre or Alistair?
Aylst.
Alistair, yeah.
And it's an hour and 54 minutes from here. I looked it up, exact address. Leamington.
You look like Wolverine, by the way.
Leamington is 3 hours and 50 minutes from
Look at
here.
him. You can see him. He's got his beard hanging up. By the way, you can't. But
by the way, I have the flu.
Today it's just Tyler and I. We're going to be chatting.
Sorry, Tyler.
It's okay.
You know, he looks like Wolverine. He's got this red beard hanging out the side of this is how we roll here. We make you wear, if you're sick, you're putting on a mask because nobody wants what you've got.
I look like I'm for Halloween.
Please take a picture.
Okay, we'll take a picture at the end. He literally has a mask on, a surgical mask, because otherwise, I'm not getting sick. For the first time in forever, I am not sick.
Yeah.
And I'd like to keep it that way.
Come on. You liked being sick with me the last time.
I don't like being sick, Al. By the way, for those who are also listening on Instagram, Al, you're hearing through a speaker.
Yeah, we're going to fix that.
Yeah, we'll make it all. Al is convinced that I have no idea what I'm doing, and that's probably kind of true when it comes to this technology stuff. Oh, also, by the way, we usually have Lucas, who's doing our recording, and this is the problem with cannabis people. He slept through his alarm at 3:00 in the afternoon. He says, "I took a nap." And so
I would have loved a nap.
I would have loved a nap too.
I had a nap this afternoon too.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I nap in between shows. Can't you nap in between patients?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Just imagine that. Hey, I'll see you in 20 minutes. I mean, even 10 minutes.
5 minutes.
Yeah, ask Tyler how much extra time. I mean, our clinics only run 5 hours, but the time that it takes to set up a clinic, the time that you're with patients, it's exhausting. Is it exhausting?
It's a lot of work. Well, when people are checking out, I'm going to talk to at least 50 people that day.
Wow.
And that's not even every person, because we try and get through at least 60.
Yeah, we try to see
60 is our number.
60 patients in a clinic, Al, with 4 medical assistants or 3 medical assistants and 1 staff
math
doctor.
here. 60 patients in 60 minutes. No, 5 hours.
5 hours.
So that you're looking at 10 patients an hour?
Yeah, you're looking at about 10 patients an hour.
And
we used to see...
What is it that goes on? You come in, you get your paperwork together, you fill out forms, you say yes, no.
So no. So, I mean, to come to our clinic, we practice good medicine.
Yeah.
When we say 10 patients an hour, it's not 10 patients an hour by one doctor.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's 10 patients an hour by 4 doctors.
Yes,
so really,
yes.
they're only seeing 2.5. Why is that? It seems like we should be seeing way more patients.
Well, it's because there's...
Yeah, nothing to say now. Why are we only seeing...
I can explain it.
Okay. It's what? Oh.
You can only see one physician.
Why are you... You know it's not?
Okay, talk to Dr. Aziz.
It's not. Okay, that's funny. No, it's not. There's no legality around how many patients
so one
a person
physician can see 70 patients in 5 hours?
That's correct, but it's not.
And they're all 15-minute consults? That doesn't add up.
What is the standard?
Hold on, stop. They're not. Okay, I'm going to just explain something. It's not a time-based code.
Okay.
We're not doing it. So Tyler's under the impression, and rightfully so. I'm glad that at least that they're trying to abide by all of the legislation and law. The idea, which Tyler was just mentioning off of speaker, was that one physician can't see more than 60 patients or whatever it is, because there's a 15-minute time, and we're talking about follow-up patients now.
Yep.
There's a 15-minute time slot for the billing code or whatever.
Oh, okay.
So in actuality, though, I'm glad that that at least they thought about it. But there is the codes, the medical codes that we use here in our clinic aren't time-based codes. They're assessment-based codes, which means we have to do certain parts of an assessment in order to bill that code through the Ontario through OHIP.
You agreed with them 3 weeks ago.
Right, no. So the reason why I agreed with him is because it might be overwhelming to him. Okay. If he feels overwhelmed, at the end of the day, the physician has to feel comfortable seeing those patients. Mm-hmm. And if you don't feel comfortable, you can't do it. I was seeing 80 patients, no problem. And it's not just me seeing 80 patients, because I go in and review those patients. There's 4 people at a time seeing seeing all those patients over 5 hours. So that's only 4 patients each an hour. That's 15 minutes a patient. That's what should be happening.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, for sure.
In the emergency room, is there a time-based, like a code, as you said? No, so it's however long it needs.
Yeah, as long as it takes. The same way here. I mean, if we're billing, there are time-based codes that you have to be with a patient for X amount of time if you want to bill that code, for example. But we don't use those codes. They bill, I don't use those codes because I just don't think that would be appropriate, and it wouldn't be. But our initial consultations are about 45 minutes, and our follow-up appointments are 10 to 15 minutes per patient. And so if you have 4 medical assistants, each seeing 4 patients an hour, which 4 times 4, that's 16 patients an hour. 16 times 5 is, I don't know. Somebody do the math.
16 times 5 would be...
I need a calculator. 15, 30, 45. Well, then what comes after that? 60. 75 plus 5, 80 patients. I'm just trying to help people out here.
How many patients in a 5-hour?
I'm glad you're all good at math. It's 80.
How many patients in a 5-hour stretch at the hospital would you see?
It's 80. Hold on a sec. So as a clinic, if we want to spend in follow-up with patients, 15 minutes per patient, which is still more than 95% more than most physicians spend with their patients, we should be able to see about 80 patients in a follow-up clinic. That's what I used to do with 4 medical assistants. Not a big deal at all. Seeing 60 patients, I mean, with 4, you're seeing a half hour per patient in essence, with 4 practitioners going. So that's a lot of time. Anyway, the bottom line is we spend 45 minutes to an hour with each patient on a new patient when they're new, and then 15 minutes with them with the face-to-face time in a follow-up clinic. When I'm working Emerge, you're lucky if you see me for 2 minutes.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. When I'm in Emerge, you're in, you're out. If you've got one physician working overnight and you're seeing 40 patients, you've got and then you've got your traumas coming, and you've got stroke.
Rounds
Yeah, you're lucky. You're lucky if you do any of that. But I mean, that reminds me. Actually, one of the first things brings me to a first point. I was at a funeral today.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, for a really awesome human who's a physician. He was the head of the forensic pathology program here in Hamilton for the Hamilton region. His name was Dr. John Fernandez. He died after a short bout of really aggressive cancer. But something they mentioned today at their funeral, which was attended by hundreds of people, in his door to his office had a saying on it, and it went something like this: a positive attitude leads to a good attitude leads to a good day, leads to a good week, leads to a good year, leads to a good life. And I think that's something that we all tend to forget. Staying positive and having that positive intention with a good attitude. Because having that good attitude, like I sort of made me think today, what does it mean to have a good attitude? What does it mean to want to wake up and go to work and partake in society and speak to your friends? And how do we facilitate ourselves? How do we intrinsically try to motivate ourselves to have a good day? Al, what do you do in the morning?
Well, I smoke a lot of cannabis in the morning because I have social anxieties, and I have a hard time even going out the door to walk my dog. So in the morning, I got to go through a panic attack every morning and yada, yada.
Really?
I wish I didn't, but I do. Yeah, yep.
So, just like thinking of that, would you agree? Like, I mean, I agree with it. I think, a positive attitude leads to a positive day, leads to a positive week. And so, but how do we stay positive when there's so much, a person is suffering from mental health or suffers from chronic pain. And in our business, I think at the end of the day, it's having a positive attitude that helps you get through all of that. No?
I can agree. Yeah, I agree totally.
I agree. Yeah.
What do
if
you
have
see?
a negative attitude, you're just going to manifest negative things. If you have a positive attitude, you'll start to manifest positive things.
We have to remember also that somebody with mental health issues like myself, with ADHD, as I'm sure you guys know, one of the worst traits is feeling like nothing's done right. Like, I mean, I wake up in the morning and I panic. I've got to get everything ready to go. If I'm going to Hamilton that day, I have to remember to feed the dog. I have to remember to take the dog. And then when I get there, I'm worried if I left the stove on or, and it's just an everyday thing. Now, this has been compounded more with me because I've removed all of my antidepressants and everything, and I'm only using cannabis for that. So on days when I don't have as much cannabis as I would, it's worse, and some days is better. When I'm at the lounge, I'm fine.
So let me ask you a question, Tyler. What do you see from our patients, the difference between somebody who comes in with, positive outlook on life versus, or on their pain, versus somebody who comes in thinking there's nothing I can do, and this feeling of hopelessness and helplessness?
I don't know. That's probably the best. Most positive people don't have a cane.
Have a cane?
Really? They don't depend on
most people that are negative will have some kind of brace or something, especially with chronic pain.
Really?
People that don't, on an average, I'm talking to you.
Yeah, I know.
On average, though,
it, man.
They're usually a lot happier. They're more eager to move around. They don't have a cane with them. They might say, "Oh, like I'm sore this way this day," but who cares? The sun's shining outside, right?
Yeah.
They have a positive outcome. Whereas someone who dwells on their pain, it might be sunny outside, but I'm not going to do anything because I'm sore.
I never actually thought of, that's actually a really good point.
That is a good way to be putting it, too.
Well, I also, that's actually, I actually learned something today, and I wonder, we should test that. That's a really good point. People who are more positive people, you find, have less braces, or they're not walking with canes or devices. They're not relying.
Right. They're more eager to seek out ways to not have to use that stuff rather than becoming braced or crushed by something.
I try and push through it. I mean, I wake up in pain and my head is spinning with stuff, and it's every day. I'm used to it. You push through it. There are some days that you just can't.
Right. I agree. There are some days you just can't. But having that positive attitude, I think that comes back to the idea of identifying as your pain versus trying to live next to your pain. I think one of the major things we all do, and I suffer from chronic pain myself from all of my injuries. I think one of the major things that we do is we say I'm my pain. I can't do it. I can't. There's so much I can't. And then we brace it, and then we put things on it, then we stop becoming mobile. One of the hardest parts of bracing and using all these aids to help us is that we become reliant on those things versus
it becomes a crutch.
It literally becomes a crutch or it becomes a cane. So having that positive attitude and that positive outlook, I'm not myself, I'm not my pain, it's still sunny outside, how do I get around it? Actually, Tyler, that's really interesting. I wonder what the correlation is there. I'd even almost like to do a survey on those who use devices and the positive and that positive thinking. Because, and I think, Al, that may be a good place to start. I don't see you using any canes and devices, which I think is very commendable.
I don't, and I push through it. And as you know, I mean, when you're with me, I'm usually pretty upbeat and happy-go-lucky.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, though, in my head, there's all kinds of stuff going on. Could I control it with prescription? Yes. Do I want to? No.
Well, I think what we're finding, I think just based on what Tyler's saying, there's this Yiddish saying called Tracht gut, sein gut, meaning, fucking pulling out Yiddish, baby. Man. Which means think good and is good. I don't know, and so literally, I think the idea behind that, it's funny, I grew up speaking all these things. That's why I know these little, sayings.
I only know a few.
The idea is... It's not the idea that, or not the fact that if I think things are good, eventually they're going to become better, or they're going to become good, or that goodness is external to me somehow. Something is good in my day. But if you think good, it literally is good. It's literally part of you. That good becomes part of you.
Yep.
So if you think positively, if you have that positive outlook on life, thinking the sun is still shining, cars are out there, it's a beautiful day, and if it's raining and snowing, or if it's raining, hey man, the plants are growing.
Yep.
If you ever taken a walk in a forest on a rainy day, it's heaven. It smells literally like heaven. I love it. It's probably my favorite thing to do. And so even on the most, and so that is good. Even though something you think is so bad, it literally is so good.
Yep.
So if you think good, it literally is good. And that's and that sort of that meshing together is really what we need to focus on. Or I think all of us can use a little bit more positivity. And I think that's one of the things that I got out of going to this John Fernandez, to his funeral today, is literally he has it written on his door. So I think it's something we need to remind ourselves of every single day, especially for our mental health and for our well-being, is that we have to think good thoughts in order for good things to happen. Whether that connectivity, they say, you are, when you think things, you manifest them or whatever. Don't put that juju in the air or whatever. I don't believe that you're going in the whole spiritual idea that somehow you're going to manifest this negative energy, but maybe what it is that brain mindset energy. It's that thought, right? It's negative thoughts that are the problem. It's not the energy you're bringing into you. It's not an external force at all. It's an internal force. No?
Yeah, I agree 100%. And touching on the ADHD and mental health, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they were talking about ADHD and mental health, and they were speaking to the sense that when you're hyperactive and you can actually hyper focus on things. So if you become depressed when you have ADHD, it can become really bad really quickly because that's the only thing your mind can focus on.
Right.
So you need to eliminate those manifestations and move forward with positive ones.
It goes one step further, though, unfortunately, for some. You wake up saying to yourself, I'm not going to be depressed today. I'm going to go out and have a good day. One little thing happens, and everything.
Yeah, because you instantly focus on that one thing.
So it's interesting. I grew up, Al, I think we spoke about it. I grew up significant with like severe ADHD. I still have it. Clearly, it's
Same.
obvious. And, you know, you mentioned before when you wake up, you're trying to remember all these things. I'll tell you, the one thing that really helped me more than anything else was having an agenda. Was literally writing things down on an agenda. Mm-hmm. Don't forget this, that, da-da-da-da. Like, everything was listed out. Mm-hmm. And that way I didn't feel stressed out. Literally having an agenda.
The Post-it note thing.
I rewrite my agenda every single day.
I used to write
it every day.
I used to write my agenda like 4 or 5 times a day.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm disorganized, if I feel like things are – and which is also why I get super focused on – what's happening at this specific time and at whatever, is because if I don't, I'm fully scattered and then I'm all over the place and then everything sort of falls apart and I get nothing done in a day. You know, my dad once told me, put your keys back where you left them all the time. So I have like a specific – I don't care where I am when I come into the house. I don't care what happens to me. Like, those keys will go into the exact same place so that I don't have to think about it. It may be out of my way for – like 30 seconds to put my keys back in the same place or to put like whatever in like the same place. If I don't do that, things are lost.
So that's actually
I do that
Japanese practice.
Because I'm Japanese.
No, but it's there's a really cool show on Netflix about it. If you go through your actual house and look at everything and break it down into sections, remove everything that doesn't give you joy. Do you know how much stuff you'll remove from your life? How much less cluttered everything will be? And then everything has a specific place where it goes. It helps to basically build the feng shui of your house, but keep you sound because you know where everything is. You don't have to go looking for it. Everything's neat and tidy, so there's never chaos within your place that you stay the most.
It's interesting. I really like that. Remove really the things that don't bring you happiness.
So what they do is first place they go to the bedroom and they go through the closet, completely remove anything that doesn't give you joy, get rid of it. Then they go to the kitchen. They go through everything in there. And then they go through the sentimental things in your house. And then it's this lady that does it. I forget the practice. It's an actual practice.
Is this that woman that
the little tiny woman on? Yeah, it's
on
Netflix.
She's like famous,
super famous.
What's her Jackie or?
I don't know her name.
She's like the clutter queen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that's so really interesting concept.
I'm moving right now, and I'm removing everything from my life.
I thought she just taught us how to fold stuff, so I never watched it.
She does teach you. I fold my girlfriend folds my underwear now, so it sits up perfectly. Like, it's so
you can't
perfect.
Fold your own underwear?
I do laundry occasionally. I don't fold and hang.
Oh, that's awesome. Does she do like the fold and tuck into each other?
The proper fold. They're all lined up.
So they line up
when
nice?
you look in your closet like that in the morning, you're like,
feels good.
Thank God, this is all organized.
Yeah.
So right now, like I said, I'm moving and I'm literally throwing out so much stuff that I don't know why I even have it.
I think a clean closet actually makes a big difference.
I think it does.
When you walk into your closet or you open your whatever and you open the drawers and it looks like you can find something,
it brings you peace of mind.
It totally really does. I think that's all part of starting your day positive. If you start your day on a positive note, it's going to lead to a positive week. That's why I like Mondays. I like coming to clinic Mondays and seeing things happen for people. I mean, people try to bring in all this negativity. You know, you get bombarded with emails. Mondays, people hate Mondays because you get bombarded. But just do the things that make you happy. At the end of the day, sure, we have little responsibilities that we have to take care of throughout the day that may not bring us joy. Those are factors outside of ourselves that we have to do. But anything that we have to do, anything that is in our control, should only be things that bring you that feeling of joy throughout the day. I like that idea of doing the house thing. That's a good idea.
Watch an episode of her show.
I thought she just taught me how to fold clothes.
No. She teaches you a whole style of life.
Maybe you really explain something to me, guys.
Yeah.
One of the things that I was always told, I guess you could say, growing up, is one of the issues that someone with severe ADHD has is menial tasks, doing things that are repetitious and daily. You know, and I find that with the right strain, that's not even a factor. But when I don't have that right strain, meh. And some people say to me, you just want to smoke pot. You just want to smoke pot. Well, come and sit with me when I don't have any, and then come and sit with me when I do, and see the difference.
Right. Yeah. So I hear the argument. There is some evidence for the use of cannabis in ADHD. It's not great evidence, but it is there. It's not going to cause harm, specifically CBD, of course. But that being said, I remember when Tyler once gave me this chemovar or strain, whatever, gave me a strain of cannabis gift and said, I cleaned my whole house with it.
Rex.
Yeah. Was it Rex?
Strain's Rex.
Anyway.
Strong sativa.
Literally, it'll help you focus. But the issue is this. People that have ADHD, here's a little science. People that have ADHD lack dopamine. Dopamine is one of the neurotransmitters in your brain that's in charge of giving you things like euphoria, but it's also in charge of things that help you concentrate and cause you to shake and do all those kind of things. So people that don't have enough dopamine hanging around tend to have ADHD from a science perspective. Cannabis interacts, both THC and CBD actually interact with the receptors that dopamine binds to in a place of your brain that causes you to have that lack of attention and frontal lobe issue. So there are strains that will be able to do that a little bit better. Unfortunately, we don't know which strains those are yet, but I think as research goes on and continues, we'll be able to have a better understanding. But in the meantime, is there a negative effect to using cannabis for things like ADHD? It depends. It depends if you have comorbidities that include depression, anxiety, and all those other things. Because like you said, it can also worsen those things. Yes. We tend to perseverate, which means we tend to focus pretty highly on one thing that we can do. Ask me to do menial tasks, I'll never get them done. If there's 10 things in a day I have to do, I'll be lucky if I do one, unless I literally have an email or a text that says do 1, do 2, do 3, do 4. You're best telling me to do 2 things in an hour, tell me to do another 2 things, than giving me a list of 12 things to do at one time. These guys see it all the time. At the end of every clinic, they say, can you just do? And all I want to do is just go. Because, I'm ready to go. I don't want to do these little small things. Yeah. And that's the lack of dopamine. So we take these medications that help keep dopamine lying around a little bit longer. But one of the main things that we can do in the morning for people that have ADHD who want to live a more positive life, and I'm not even saying, Al, you said one thing to me. You said, I'm going to have a good day. Mm-hmm. So the idea of going to already detaches yourself from the good day.
Okay.
Do you hear what I'm saying?
Just have a good day.
It's a good day.
No, good day.
Good day.
Okay. Good day.
It's a good day. I'm not going to have, because if I'm going, I have to wait for something to happen.
Okay.
It is a good day.
Okay.
I woke up, it's a good day. That's amazing.
Today's great.
There's no going to be great. It's the anticipation. I know the idea. I mean, it does sound a little stoic, of course, because in stoicism, the anticipation of things you just sets you up to be let down. But so they always that's why Stoics focus on like the worst case scenario. But let's not focus on what's going to be. Let's focus on the moment. So living moment in that moment, living presently, today is good. Today is good. It's not going to be good. It is good. Is that positive attitude, is that good attitude that leads to a good day, that leads to a good week, that leads to a good year. So that leads to a good life. That is the stuff that we need to focus on.
I do have one weird habit. Whenever I'm in any situation, I always evaluate the worst possible outcome, no matter what.
That's not a bad thing, though.
I do that any situation I'm in, I prepare myself for the worst, always.
Snowball on you, though.
Well, so yes and no. So, I happen to agree a little bit. I'm the same way. That's the Stoic perspective. Mm-hmm. In Stoicism, it's look at the worst possible case scenario, because it's never really as bad as you think.
Never going to be that bad.
Right.
As a doctor, though, don't you have to do that, though?
focus on the worst case scenario. Yeah, the truth is, as an emergency physician, that's what I'm always looking to rule out. Yeah. So I don't go in saying, oh, everything's great, you got a little cold. I'm going in saying that you're dying and prove me wrong. That's basically how I practice in the emergency department is what's the worst case scenario? What could this be? And now let's rule the worst case scenario out. If somebody comes in and, for example, is having trouble breathing, but has a known history or is having a panic attack, has a known history of panic attacks, I don't go in saying this is a panic attack. Even though, if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's likely a duck. I go in saying if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's likely a zebra. And and so if I can go in and say, ask very specific questions, rule out the worst case scenarios, then I'm like, it's anxiety, out you go. And then they're like, oh, you didn't really help me. Well, I did. I just told you that everything is amazing. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, that's what I learned today from.
So my girlfriend always gets mad at me for thinking of the worst scenario.
Really?
Because I'll let her know. I'm like, this is what I'm thinking. If just be ready, like this could happen. And she's like, why the fuck?
Yeah. I mean, I think like that too.
I just know if
it's not.
If you
positive,
have that,
though.
I have that, but it makes everything else positive.
Right.
It's never that bad.
It is. It's never that bad. The problem, though, it's also okay to feel like that if you don't have to suffer from depression on a regular basis. If you go in thinking doom and gloom all the time, everything is going to be doom and gloom.
Yeah, I'm not I just say I walk into a bar.
Right.
I see the closest exit because I know shit could pop off.
Right.
That's an example right there. Or if I'm in a scenario with a bunch of new people, be like, well, I'll try and read the scenario and be like, what are things I can't say? What if I said this? What would be the worst thing I could say? What would be the best thing I could say?
What kind of bars do you go to I guess, I know your environment.
Any bar. And just always have your back to a wall, things like that.
Right.
I bounced all through my 20s, and I've been doing security at the lounge for events as well. And it's, you see a guy standing at the door, ask, can I see your ID? Can I see your ID? Can I see your ID? But it's very repetitive, and you go into that mindset. Like, I can't walk into a bar without being in that mindset where I'm watching everything.
Right.
Yep.
So a couple things that I want to talk. Oh, actually, there's one other thing I wanted to say. I did a post just yesterday. I took it down really quickly because there was an executive in New York that was arrested finally for for literally peddling opioids. It was a pharma company, and they're finally starting to take down some of these executives who are heavily involved with that. My response was like, yes, I was really happy. And then I took that down because Naz, my wife, happened to mention, and she's right, is I don't wish that these things happened. Mm-hmm. I'm not happy that had to happen. I wish they didn't have to happen. And, of course, he's still innocent until proven guilty, and I don't want to be part of a media that, or part of a mob that believes everybody's guilty until proven innocent. Mm-hmm. I've been in that situation as well. So I think we've got to always give somebody the benefit of the doubt until due diligence is done. But, of course, I am happy that that the government and that people are starting to look at it. But at the end of the day, it's not just his fault. It's all of our faults. Mm-hmm. We're all involved with this opioid crisis. Somebody had to go to their doctor and say, I want the opioid and I want to manipulate and keep on going. Mm-hmm. And then you have to have the doctor on the other end or the healthcare practitioner that says, okay, no problem, here you go. And then you have to have the pharma company that says, I'm going to keep producing these and we should, give some money back over to whomever so that they keep giving these things. So the problem isn't with one person. It's a full spectrum of people. We're all responsible for that problem. So
it's a full circle.
Yeah. It's all of our responsibilities to deal with. It's not just Big Pharma's responsibility. It's our responsibility as well. Yep. So I apologize for putting that up. I was going to do a post on it today, and maybe I will later on. All right.
It's a really good article. I read it.
Yeah.
I saw that article, and for the record, I have never, other than after surgery, taken a script for opiates. I've always refused them. And it's people don't realize it's something that I could use that would help, but the outcome. Wow, I've seen a lot of people go down the drain on those things.
Yeah, I mean, I would stay as far away as you can. There is a time and a place, by the way. If we're going to talk about opioids, and I will be this weekend giving a lecture at Cannabis on opioid reduction using cannabinoids and the state of the opioid crisis in Ontario. We're certainly, the numbers are not getting any better. Last year in 2018, we had about 390 phone calls to paramedics for opioid overdoses. We're only at April, and we've had 250 already this year alone. So the opioid crisis isn't getting any better.
It's not getting any better.
And how we're going to deal with that? I mean, hopefully cannabinoids. Like I'm sure Tyler, do you see the cannabinoids helping for opioids? Do you see our patients?
I see it every day, 100%. I do have a question though. I have one question. So I was laying in a bed with a broken jaw in the U.S. in a hospital bed, and they brought in like 3 different pills and wanted me to take them. What would those have been? I refused to take them.
You weren't in that much pain?
I was in a shit ton of pain. My jaw was broken in 2 places. I was in agonizing pain.
But you didn't want to take them?
I refused to take them because I don't trust anything that doctors give me like that.
That's great. Okay, so they
didn't tell me what they were either.
Right. They are pain medications probably. So here's the thing. There is a time and a place to use opioids. It's not like let's not use pain medication. The number one reason people present to emerge is pain.
Yeah.
And in acute pain from fractures, breaks, or trauma of some sort, in the acute or post-surgery, in the acute phase, no longer than 3 days max, people could use a narcotic because it's helpful. It will blunt the pain response. But anything longer than that, 1, there's no evidence for, and 2, just leads to addiction and death and problems and societal issues and all the other things that are happening. So there is a time and a place for all of these things. So I think maybe you probably should have taken it at that time, but hard to say.
Yeah, I don't know. That was a weird situation. They also prescribed me something, and I did not take it. They also wanted to wire my jaw shut, and I refused to do that. But my jaw is totally good now. Everything's good. Well, I was in the U.S. How much would it have cost?
Talk about it 1 second.
How much would it have cost to get my jaw wired?
Thousands of
dollars. So definitely didn't want to do that. Let's talk about K2, though. That's been in the news. Quick section on K2.
All right. So let me. All right. It's the cannabis stuff, guys. So how do you identify? So there are different cannabinoids out there, right? There's herbal cannabis. When we talk about herbal cannabis, we're talking about THC, CBD, all the cannabinoids, terpenes, flavonoids, all that go into that. But then at the same time, we have synthetic cannabinoids. Synthetic cannabinoids include things like K2 spice. And things like salvia. Now, Al, you were telling me before that about a decade ago when these things first started coming onto the market, and I'll tell you, Canada's taken them off, but the U.S. you could still get them at the gas station.
Oh yeah.
Yep. These things are when I say synthetic, it's not like synthetic cannabinoids.
It's not like Sesamet or Navalone.
It's not like Sesamet. It's not like synthetic pharmaceutical grade cannabis. I
was on for 5 years.
Exactly, like Sesamet, Sativex, all those types of things. What these are like some back alley produced synthetic cannabinoids that are produced for one purpose.
Usually sprayed on some kind of a flower or something.
Yeah, well, you could produce it. They come as a flower. You can then extract it into a salve or into a spray so that you can spray it on your actual cannabis, and it is literally like 100 times more powerful, or binds to the receptors that cause you to become euphoric and disoriented 100 times more, sometimes even higher than that, than THC is. So it's like taking people that take carfentanil and die right away. Yeah. It's the same kind of idea for cannabis. Those cannabinoids, 1, are toxic to you. They can cause severe bleeding disorders. They can cause your lungs to collapse. They can cause your lungs to become toxic. They can cause you to become delirious, dissociate from reality,
become schizophrenic.
You become schizophrenic, basically. Remember a couple of years ago, we watched the news, and there were these guys on the side of the road in Florida that were
eating the guy's face.
Yeah, biting their faces off.
Bath salts.
So those were bath salts.
Yeah.
Bath salts are cannabinoids. Those are synthetically produced cannabinoids, the same as K2 and spice.
Yep.
So if you want that shit to happen, K2 and spice. But that you should literally stay as far away from that stuff as possible.
As you mentioned before you started talking about it, we tried some of this stuff back 10 years ago on the air, and my co-host just went wangy. What I didn't like, what was really upsetting and bothersome, was it's a straight up in the air high instantly. And then after about 10 or 15 minutes, you're back down, smacking your face on the ground. It's that instant, and it's
yeah. The reason why it's that instant is because it binds so heavily to that CB1 receptor. It binds and it's not letting go. So you get high right away, but you get higher and higher and higher,
and then you drop
until. Well, you have two options: either you drop or you die. Those are your two options, because all your body will release all of its chemicals to try to counteract it. You may have no chemicals left, and you become an agitated delirium. Your heart rate goes up, and then you can die. Yeah, so you have to be really careful.
Have you looked into this yet?
The reason I tried
Flocka is the newest form of this stuff.
Hold on.
That's like
what's this?
10 times stronger.
Say that again.
Flocka. Do you know
Flocka?
It's all over the place in Florida now. It's
never heard of Flocka.
Way stronger. It's this alpha PVP.
What is it?
Pink crystals that are way more potent than any synthetic cannabinoid. It's made from those.
Really?
It's killing people in Florida right now.
Just stay away from all of this shit. Honestly, at the end of the day, this is one of the problems, though, with the black market is if you're wanting to keep your clientele hooked, it's super addictive. Yep. You just spray a little bit of K2 on your flowers.
Yep.
And then somebody takes them, has no fucking idea what they're doing,
and it is
and the next thing you know, you end up in the hospital.
And
so
they're also mixing in fentanyl with it.
I've seen it. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, in Emerge we see it all. But yeah, people are mixing fentanyl, people are mixing K2, people, whatever. We're seeing all this stuff. So just, that's one of the things I think we should be careful of. And that's really the difference. So how do you see the difference? The difference is the flowers are a little bit, or the leaves or the flower is a little bit lighter. They're a little bit not as tightly compacted, and usually it's always loose leaf. So you're never going to see it'll all look like shake. Yeah,
it's already been chopped and sprayed.
That's right. It's already been chopped and sprayed. So just stay away from that stuff. If you're getting only shake, stay away from it, and that's that.
Yeah, and if you're looking to actually use cannabis medicinally, shake isn't the best place to go. You're missing out on a lot of your cannabinoids because the cannabinoids are found in the trichomes, which fall off when you make shake. So you're losing half of your goodness in that.
Right. Totally.
Don't use shake unless you're making edibles.
Yeah. So I was just going to say, it's great for edibles.
Yeah.
Here's the thing that I don't get. And I know we had this discussion, Tyler. After you vaped your cannabis, the brown stuff you use for baking.
In high amounts you can.
Okay.
High amounts.
But all your cannabinoids are pretty much vaped off. Terpenes blown. Everything's gonzo. What do you do?
Not 100%. Think of it as a decarbing. Decarbing, you're heating it up to almost that temperature.
It's just a little bit. Decarb just turns it a little bit.
All you're doing is removing that carboxynate when you're decarbing. You're heating it up a little bit more, so you're removing more of it, but you'll never get 100% of it.
So you use a lot of it.
You have to have a lot of it to make anything really potent.
All right.
It's like shake, from what I understand and what I've tried. It's like shake, but it will give you a very, very what's the word? The taste, a very earthy taste.
Yes.
Oh, like chlorophyll.
Yeah, it's because there's a lot of plant.
You're talking about chlorophyll.
Is that the nutty flavor? Is that the
chlorophyll? Yeah, that's the nutty. I'm not a chlorophyll fan at all. That's why
Yeah.
That's why you use extracts. There's no chlorophyll.
Well, if you don't, the longer you keep your cannabis in the water while you're heating it, the more chlorophyll you're going to get, and the more dank.
Yeah,
dank
and that's
smell. So
that's why you don't use a lot of water when you're making stuff.
You can use a lot of water. You just don't want to keep it in there too long.
Okay.
That's the key.
I don't use water at all when I make
butter. Either. The only thing I will
Reason being, when you add water, you add in bacteria. Chances for bacteria.
You should use distillate. Distilled water.
Yeah,
Sorry.
You should use very clean water or
distilled water.
When you use the main thing is you want to separate the cannabis from the water, and that's what it's doing. All you need to do is use a French coffee press. Pour your whole solution in there, press it down. Everything will separate for you very easily.
So
when you're making butter with water, the water separates and the butter goes. So there's no leaf in it, right?
Yes.
All right. So you pour the whole solution into, say, your magic butter machine without the bag or anything. Let it run. Let it infuse completely. Take that solution.
What solution are you talking about?
Your butter and your bud.
Okay.
Right there. Pour all of that into a French coffee press. That screen does not allow anything to go through finer than a freaking tiny micron. Push that down, press everything out of that left little bit instead of squeezing it out of cheesecloth. Press it with the French press. Boom. All right there.
Really?
That's the techniques I teach in my classes.
Really?
Saves you time.
I use a potato squisher.
Hold on.
So with water, if you don't separate it all, bacteria will build up. You can't store it for more than 2 days.
Yeah.
Because it'll be full of bacteria.
Right.
With no water, you can store it easily up to 30 days in your fridge, 6 months if you freeze it.
So you just use butter and water?
Butter and
bud?
Butter and decarbed bud.
That's all I
And then you put it into your butter maker.
I put it into my butter machine, but if you do it right on the stove, you just have to make sure that you never reach boiling point.
Right, of course.
That's all the butter machine's doing is maintaining it below boiling point for about 3 hours.
And then you, that's interesting. Just taking out the water, maybe makes it a little more diffused to extract. You'll probably lose a lot more.
No. If anything, I think you gain more. You're using less material that it can be infused into.
Right, like the water.
Yeah, I think and if you look into like a lot of very well-respected cannabis chefs, none of them use water.
Really?
Because they can't store the product. Their fear of having contaminants in it from the water.
You have to use distilled water. You can't just use tap water.
Still, even if your butter's made and you don't know what's in that butter, if there's a pocket of air, bacteria will build in there.
Yeah, but you have to separate that after it's in the...
It separates automatically, but if you don't do it properly, it won't.
Oh, if you leave it in the fridge till it hardens and then you take it all and then you just take
it doesn't always completely separate. Fair. It can be trapped in there.
Yeah, I mean, I hear that. Okay, that's a good idea. I'm going to try that. No water.
It's my preferred method as long as you can keep it at the right temperature. Water's also there so that it doesn't boil over.
Correct.
That keeps it at the cooler temperatures.
Yeah.
Because if you boil the butter and get it too hot, it will taste like crap.
All right. Well, guys, one last thing that I wanted to talk about because Tyler has to take off. The truth is, if you got to go, Tyler, I don't want to keep you here.
All right, I got to go. I'm going to Arizona, so I got to go do some stuff.
All right. Tyler's out. Tyler's going to Arizona.
All right, have fun, buddy. Fly safe.
Look at that. Everybody's taking off. It's just going to end up being you and me today.
It's going to be some rounds of golf.
All right, have fun.
All right. See you, everybody.
Good luck. Oh, you got to take your computer, don't you? Shit.
Well,
that doesn't work.
In all reality, I want it when I get home.
Yeah, you'll need it. You'll need your phone. You'll need it. Okay, I just wanted to say one last thing. Give me 2 seconds. Okay. Here's my my last thought here. Talk about cannabis addiction. And we just came out of Cannacrawl, right?
Yep.
Cannacrawl, which was excellent. Al, thanks for coming out. And thanks to everybody. And thanks to Rena and Hamilton Vape Lounge and everybody that put that on. Thanks to Tyler and Al for podcasting. Or actually, we did a radio show. We did it live. So doing the radio.
4 hours worth.
It was 4 hours, huh? Wow.
Almost, yeah.
It did fly by. It was a lot of fun. Some people that were kind of weird and intimidated by it. Oh my God, the funniest moment is when I walked into that vape lounge, that smoke house, whatever the fuck it was, honestly. Okay, I walk into this place, Al. I wish you guys could have seen when I walked in.
I've been telling people about that.
Rena takes me in, and I have my my microphone or my whatever that thing's mic with me, and I'm at these things to promote health and wellness and to try to get people to vape over smoke. I walk in, literally a puff of cloud hits me in the face. I'm dying. My throat starts hurting. And then I walk in. I'm like, hey, everybody. I literally said, my name's Dr. Ira Price. I'm here, and I'm trying to promote health and wellness. Will we all vape? Let's start maybe. And I come bearing gifts, and I had my vape with me. Nobody gave a shit, and they literally started laughing at me. Anyway.
Dab. They would have loved it.
Yeah?
They were all dabbing.
Oh.
Big time.
All right.
Somebody asked me somebody asks me how the night went, and I said it's great until Ira went into the smoking room, and he walked in and said, hi, I'm Ira Price, Dr. Ira Price, and I want to talk to you about combustion. And everybody looked at him like, get the fuck out of here, old man.
They did. And they even literally said that. Listen, old man, we got the youngins over here. I was looked at like an old man. It was really sad. Anyway.
Well, that's weird because vaping's new. Smoking's old.
Yeah.
It's so they got it backwards.
They do.
Yep.
All right, Al. I think that was a blast today. We did a nice, quick, short one. And maybe we should take a little bit of a break. And I don't know. I think everybody have an amazing week. Tyler,
stay positive. Everybody stay positive.
Tyler's heading out of town, so he's going to be positive.
Very positive, for sure. Arizona's a beautiful place.
It is. But we're going to wake up in the morning here, and we're not going to say it's going to be good. We're going to say it is good.
It's great. It's
great. It's all good. Sure. And keep that thought in your head. Yeah. It's good.
And
it's good. Everything
if you feel like your life is cluttered, remove things that don't give you joy.
Yeah.
You don't need things that don't give you joy. They're useless.
That includes people.
Yes. People bring you down too.
Yep.
100%.
Yep.
All right, everybody. Have a great week.
Guys.
I'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks for joining.
Woo. See you later, Al. I'm going to shut my computer down.
Yep.
See you
later.
Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.